Song by Ohe Vaishnav Thakur. Ohe Vaishnav Thakur, दयार सागर हे दासे करुणा कोरी ओहे वैष्णव दयार हे दासे करुणा ओहे वैष्णव ठाकुर दयार सागर हे दासे करुणा पूरी हे वैष्णव ठाकुर हे दासे करुणा पूरी दिया पद छाया शोधो तुम्हार चरण प्रेम दिया क्षय भेदोमि क्षय दोष शोधि क्षय बोध देहो दासे क्षय भेदोमि क्षय बोध क्षय सतसंग देहो ये हमारे उसी संगे राशे छाया एकाकी अमर नाही पाए बल हरि नाम संकीर्तने एकाकी तुमी कृपा कोरी श्रद्धा बिंदु दिया देहो कृष्ण नाम धने कृष्ण से तुम्हारा कृष्ण देते पार तुम्हारा शपति अच्छे कृष्ण से तुम्हारा आमी तो कंगाल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोली धाई तब पाछे पाछे आमी तो कृष्ण ओए वैष्णव ठाकुर यार सागर दीना से करुणा प्रिय ओहे वैष्णव ठाकुर दयार सागर दीना से करुणा पूरी ओहे वैष्णव ठाकुर दयार सागर हृदय से करुणा पूरी जय कृष्ण ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So in this one song, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarizes the entire Deshamrit. ओहे वैष्णव ठाकुर दयार सागर एदासे करुणा गौरी दिया पद छाया शोधो ए आमाया तुम्हारा चरण धूरी. So Prabhupada, when he discusses in the second paragraph, last paragraph, one can surpass all these processes of tapasya, yamena, niyamena navas, the seven processes. He mentions how by surrendering to a pure devotee. So that is why this prayer is to Vaishnav Thakur, who is an ocean of mercy. And when he glances his mercy on a conditioned soul, by that Mahat Kripa, what happens? Seed of devotion is implanted in our heart. And then, because it's Sukriti, we serve that Vaishnava and take shelter of that Vaishnava. And when we take shelter of that Vaishnava, then this Shodoe Amara, purification, the four regulative principles, we have to get purified by coming to the human platform by regulative principles, which is spoken by, in the Parikshit Kali Samvad in the first canto, I think 18th chapter, the four regulative principles are mentioned there, which Prabhupada also quotes. And then by taking his shelter, then what happens? Chaya Vaiga Dami. Chaya Vaiga Dami is referring to which verse? First verse. First verse of the Desha. Chaya Dosha Shodhi. Second verse. And Chaya Guna Dehodas. The third verse. And Chaya Sapta Sangha. The sixth loving exchange is actually the satsanga. When you associate with the devotees, not that you do other activities, you're associating with devotees. No, only when you do these six loving exchanges, then that is called as satsanga. Otherwise, it's not satsanga. So, chaya satsanga deho amar. Poshichi sagera ashi. I am sitting at your foot, lotus feet with this desire. And the first four verses are here summarized. Now, the Madhyamadhikari's internal development and bhakti rules, you know, is summarized in the next line. I'll finish this. Okay, I just finished. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, okay. This is Bengali. Yes, now I understand. Okay. Chaya Vega Dami. Dami means to control. Vega means the six Vegas. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodha Vegam, Jiva, Udara, and Upastha. So Chaya means six. Got it? Chaya Vega Dami. Chaya Dosha Shodhi. The six faults. Atyahara, Prajalpa, Niyamagra, Sangha, and Laurya. So this is the second verse of the Upadeshamrita. If you see the second verse, Atyahar means overeating or over collecting. Of course, we'll come to the second verse, that time we'll get a more clear. Prayas means over endeavor. Prajalpa means unnecessary talking. And Niyamagra means not following the regulative principles. Of course, there is a deeper meaning when we go to that verse, we'll come to that. And Atyahara, Prayasa, Prajalpa, Niyamagra, Janasanga, associating with materialistic people. And Loba, longing, greed. These are six things which destroy devotion. So these are the six faults. So, Chaya Dosha Shodhi, purify me of the six faults. And Chaya Guna Devadas. Give me these six qualities. What are the six qualities? Utsaha, enthusiasm. Nishchay is determination. Dhairya means patience. And Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat means following the regulative principles. Sangha Tyagat means again not to associate with non-devotees. Utsaha, Nishchay, Dhairya, Tat Tat Karma Pravartana, Sangha Tyaga, Satovritti. Satovritti means following the sadhus and the previous acharyas. So give me these six qualities. And Chaya Satta Sangha means give me these six types of association. So when is association considered an association? When you have these six loving exchanges. Dadati pratigranati, Uyamakyati prichati, and Bhukte Bhojate Chaya. And when the Madhyamadikari does these bhakti rules and external dealings, then we discussed how Madhyamadikari's vision and internal development happens. Now, for him to chant the holy name, a Madhyamadikari, please remember now, try to understand this. A Kanishta Adhikari, in order to come to the Madhyamadikari platform, now Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, please don't ask any questions on this now. We will come to the fifth verse. We will entire one class we will discuss on what these terminologies mean. Okay. So a Kanishta Adhikari has to associate with a Madhyama Adhikari. And Madhyama Adhikari can be of the level of Guru, please remember. But for a Madhyama Adhikari who is on text 4, to make further advancement and become a Uttama Adhikari, he has to associate with the Uttama Adhikari. So on his own efforts in his chanting, he cannot make progress. Ekaki amar nahi paye bal harinama sankirtan. Tumi kripa kaur shraddha bindu diya Dev Krishna nama. So this summarizes verses what? 5, 6, 7, and 8 of Upadeshamrita. Okay. You're all surprised about. And then Krishna से तुम्हारा कृष्ण देते पारो तुम्हारा शकत याचे अमी तो कंगाल कृष्ण कृष्ण बोली खाई तब आचे पाचे Krishna से तुम्हार you have Krishna with you and you have the power to give Krishna. So Bhava Bhakti cannot be attained by sadhana. Bhava Bhakti is bestowed by Krishna because Bhava Bhakti is actually the Ladini Shakti descending from the spiritual world into the heart of a sadhaka who has come to that platform, Adhikar, for attaining sadhya. And the spiritual master, seeing that the disciple is qualified, by his mercy and the mercy of the Lord, Bhava Bhakti descends into the heart. That's why Bhava Bhakti, one of the characteristics of Bhava Bhakti is what? Sudurlabha. It's very rare. Krishna doesn't easily give. Why Krishna doesn't give? Because if he gives, he is under the complete control of that devotee. Krishna loses his independence. He becomes just a puppet in his hands. He can make Krishna dance as he wants. That is a pure devotee. And a pure devotee can give Krishna. So this summarizes verses 9, 10, and 11. You know, and only when one comes to this platform of I Nanda Tanuja Kinkara Patitam Va Amito Kangal. Only when you don't possess anything, then you can possess Krishna. You have to become a king. You can possess everything, but still you might not consider that you possess those things. Then also you're qualified to possess Krishna. Okay? It's a matter of consciousness. So just in one bhajan, 4 stanzas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has summarized the entire Uddeshamrit. And we are studying Shaya Vaiva. Okay, so we'll continue our discussion. You have questions on this? How many of you have questions? Raise your hands. One, two. Okay, take the mic.
You said that when you don't possess anything, then you can possess Krishna.
But you can possess everything, but still you might not think you don't possess them. Then you can possess Krishna.
Because it's possible as it is, then only Brahmachari can possess Krishna.
That is what I made the statement, and you have to understand that statement. You can be possessing everything, like Maharaj Amrish, he was the ruler of the entire Bhumandala. But he did never consider that this is mine. He was free from the consciousness of I and mine. So we have a conception, the brahmacharis or sannyasis, they don't possess anything. It might not be true also. Yes. Huh? He possesses a laptop here. You can see it is attached to the laptop. One sannyasi is very close to me. He was telling me, no, we speak about Yukta Vairagya. And, we are attached to our laptops. And, he has written books on cosmology. Not one book, 6 books he has written. So he's not attached, frankly speaking, but Yukta Vairagya is a very elevated principle. So other day, I was attending one seminar and, the devotee speaker who was giving the class, again, it was a cosmology class. So one of the brahmacharis made a statement, when he made some statement about Shuddha Bhakti, we are Vairagis, brahmacharis. From the audience, we are Vairagis. He said, you are Vairagis? Just show me whether you can stay without a laptop and a mobile. Straight away he gave a challenge and he just kept quiet. See, you can understand by symptoms. If your mobile is lost, even in your consciousness, it comes that where is my mobile? That means you're attached. It should not even come in your consciousness. So it is a matter of consciousness. That's why I made the point when I said that. It is a matter of consciousness. It is not to do with something external. It's an internal state of consciousness. So you can be a millionaire and still you might not be possessed. I'll just give an example of Amrish Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, Alfred Ford's grandson, right? In his home, you can imagine how big must be that home. They have a lot of servants to take care of the home, but the entire temple, they don't allow anyone to serve, right? From cleaning the floor to serving the deities, everything is managed by both the husband and wife. So it's a matter of consciousness. Okay? Yes, Mataji.
So, Protocol already start. I was thinking about the last class and I had this question in my mind that we're saying that when Krishna was departing, as then the queens were standing.
The Kulastriya.
So you said that they were holding their clearance because it was inauspicious. So why is it so like, because even Srila Goswami states in Bhakti Rasamrita states that we should not speak loud in front of the Lord and we should
crying in front of the deities. They are all considered, they are all inauspicious, that's why. But that crying is coming from not, out of separation from Krishna, but it is coming from material emotions. Artho Artharthi Jigyasu. It's coming from that platform. So that is, lamenting, for. Yes, yes. Although that is, although they are eternal associates, you can say, because they're participating in Krishna Lila, but still, as a matter of etiquette, as a matter of this, they were following it. Just like, okay, since you bought it, there is a pastime where, I don't know, it is Akrura fanning the Lord. And, tears of ecstasy were coming, but he held them because that would have been an obstacle in his service. So, like that, as a service to Krishna, they were doing it. Okay, clear?
One question from this question that you said that Bhava Bhakti is bestowed, it's not something we are doing from our standpoint. So is it like we are only endeavoring, showing our efforts, and ultimately it will be the causeless mercy of Guru and Krishna that will provide us the love?
Yes. Bhava Bhakti is bestowed. Bhava Bhakti is the Ladini Shakti which descends from the spiritual world into the heart of a sadhaka. And we can endeavor in sadhana bhakti up to asakti. We have to put effort till asakti. But from asakti to go to bhava, it's not our endeavor. Ultimately, we have to cry for Krishna's mercy. Like similarly in chanting, we have to endeavor, sit in a right posture, sit straight and try to hear the mantra. All that is in our endeavor. But just by this endeavor, it doesn't mean that the holy name will descend in the heart. Ultimately, we should win a prayerful heart, call to Krishna, and then Krishna descends. Then, the holy name manifests. Is it okay? Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. So this morning we began with the text one. We are going quite slow, but I don't mind because only 4 texts we are going to discuss. The remaining we'll just go through quickly. But of course, we'll spend time, quality time on it. But first 4 verses are very important. So we'll just recite this verse once again and summarize what I discussed, and then we'll continue the discussion. Vachovegam manasah krodavegam Shivvavegam mudarpastavegam Etam vegan yo vishetadhira Sarvamapimam prithvim sasishya. So the first thing I mentioned is upasta is a subtle desire. It's not something to do with gross because it is a subtle organ. In the creation, past and second canto will come. And how this verse is applicable to the Tridandi Swami Lakshan and Atmasayami Madhyamadikari, the self-controlled Madhyamadikari. Both these, this I explained. Then we went into the concept of Vega. I hope you are able to clearly understand this concept of Vega. If you don't understand this, then it is difficult to understand this verse itself. Rupa Goswami is speaking about controlling these Vegas. When these Vegas come with force. Suddenly someone tells you something, he chastises you, criticizes you. What is the general tendency? You become angry. You have to control. So these Vegas don't come all the time. But whenever they come, arise, you have to tolerate them. Sahat. So that's why Rupa Goswami is speaking about the concept of Vega, which is urgent desires. I gave this example also, and then I spoke about how Ayurveda also speaks about 13 Vegas. Those have not to be suppressed because that will create diseases in the body. And that one Vega is analyzed as six so that you can deal with these Vegas. And then we went into the first theme, that is atonement in paragraph 1 and 2. And then, although Shama and Dama are not the limbs of bhakti, why is Rupa Goswami speaking about control of the senses and control of the mind? Because that is favorable to Sharanagati, which is a limb of bhakti. So that is why he has spoken about. Okay, so that is the connection. And then Prabhupada also establishes by abruptly speaking about the Parikshit Sukhdev Samvad in the conversation in the sixth canto. Because there the discussion is how, because of uncontrolled senses, because of avidya, there is uncontrolled senses, one commits sinful activities and one suffers in hellish planets. And the remedy Sukhdev gives is prashchit. But Parikshit rejects it. And then he gives a second remedy, which is practice be in knowledge. Be in knowledge. By being in Vidya, you can destroy avidya. And what are the processes? Tapasya, brahmacharena, shamena, damena, tyagena, satya, sauchabhyam, yamena, niyamena va. The seven processes. Tapasya is austerity, brahmacharya, and then shama means mind control. Dama means sense control. And then satya. Satya means being truthful. If one speaks truth for 12 years, whatever he speaks will come true. If one remains Mauna, takes a Mauna Vrata for many years, I don't know how many years it is, but just by that Mauna Vrata, he gets such Shakti by which, he can attract others. That's why if you go in the Kumbh Mela, you see many yogis nowadays, I don't know, but at least few years back, maybe 20, 30 years back, you could find some genuine. So, Satya Sauchabhyam and Yamena Niyamayana Vaya refers to Yama and Niyam in the process of Ashtanga Yoga. After that, Prabhupada speaks about the Bhakti process. The Bhakti process he speaks. What is the Bhakti process? Get association of a pure devotee and follow the four regular principles and engaging in the service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. This is very important. Okay. Then only you can slowly regulate your Vegas. Okay. And this is the process recommended by Rupa Goswami. So we have seen this. Now we'll come to now six urges and pacification by Bhakti, which is paragraphs 3 to 8. Okay. Paragraph 3 now. Okay, control of speech. Now, there is a negative aspect of speech that is called as uncontrolled speech. There is a neutral aspect and there is a controlled speech, which is positive aspect. Now, the negative aspect is you don't have control over your speech. You continuously keep on speaking. Hmm? And Prabhupada compares this to material stock and Mayavadi. And he compares to the frog and the snake. Just like the croaking of the frog will invite the snake. So the more you speak, you invite death. In fact, do you know that the more you speak, you're coming closer to death? Do you know that? How? How is it? Because the more you speak, your air from the body, pranavayu is getting depleted, and the number of breaths are decided when you're born. But speak, Krishna Katha speak is not like that. It is transcendental. In fact, you can transcend death. Right? So that's the reason. The neutral aspect is taking mauna, silence. The external process of mauna, Prabhupada says, or the Maya, the philosophy. This all is there in the purport, and you need not take this chart, we will give you. And controlled speech is Krishna Katha, a devotee. That is self-controlled speech. So we will go into this purport. First, one must control his speaking power. Prabhupada is speaking about what? The urge to speak is a power. It's a very powerful thing in this world. And especially it is our experience, especially in the trains. No. Some people, they speak and speak and speak and speak from morning till night. Continuously are speaking. What kind of Shakti you must be having to speak? One sannyasi was telling me that in one train journey, some Gujaratis were sitting. Please forgive me if you are any of your Gujaratis, but he was telling the narrating. So he was trying to sit and study, and the whole day they were continuously speaking and continuously eating. At last, he lost his balance and told Mataji, good morning, you are speaking. I know now the entire family history of yours. I know what all the controversies are there in your family. At least for a few minutes, please keep quiet so that I can concentrate on my study. So this is speaking power. It is a potency. It's a very, very powerful potency. And just by one speech, what was Hitler famous for his speech. And he caused an entire world war. This is the power of speech. That's why Prabhupada is saying one must control his speaking power. Every one of us has the power of speech. As soon as we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. Have you observed? As soon as the class is over, the power of speech comes into play. Yes or no? So we have a rule in our Japa workshops that our workshops are, we have only 6 hours a day class. You can imagine. 6 hours. And during the lunch break, you're not supposed to speak even a word. And the Hare Krishna Mahamantra team is going on. And even if you want something, sabzi or dal, without speaking, you have to convey. It's very easy. And we have observed nobody has been successful. Because as soon as we come together, we get an opportunity, we begin to speak. even if we have to speak nonsense. Gravity of speech. There has to be gravity of speech. And only by that one can make advancement. So in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about one of the vibhutis as Maunam. And Maun means to deeply contemplate what one has heard. Prabhupada there in that purport, please read that purport. He says, by silence, one can make quick advancement in Krishna consciousness. Please read in that purport, Maunam, in that purport. So that's why Prabhupada said we begin to speak. If we do not speak about Krishna consciousness, we speak about all sorts of nonsense. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nunam Santi Sahasrasa. Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Apashyatam Atmatatam. If one is not self-realized, he has hundreds of topics to discuss. And all the topics of discussion are about sense gratification. Prabhupada gives the example, a toad in the field speaks by croaking, and similarly, everyone has a tongue, wants to speak, even if all he has to say is nonsense. So I was mentioning that if you maintain silence, you get what is called as Vagat Shakti. So in North Karnataka, where I come from, there is a there was now there was a Gyani. He was very famous and he used to maintain silence. He used to speak on Bhagavad Gita discourses, especially Sankhya Yoga, and he had written a commentary on Bhagavad Gita also. He was very favorable to ISKCON. Of course, he was a Gyani, he was not a devotee, but highly accomplished. He had a lot of appreciation for Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. He used to, go wherever he used to have his talks. And, every time morning he starts his discourse. How many people used to come? 10,000 people. And why he is able to attract? Because of the Vak Shakti. It is a material potency. It is not a spiritual potency, please remember. But yet, that is a power. So if we croak, then we'll invite what? Death. The croaking of the toad, however, simply invites the snake, please come here and eat. So by speaking, over speaking, overeating, anything you do over intelligence, you're inviting what? Death. Nevertheless, although it is inviting death, the toad goes on croaking. The talk of the materialist men in impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers may be compared to the croaking of frogs. They are always speaking nonsense and thus inviting death to catch them. Controlling speech, however, does not mean self-imposed silence, the external process of Mauna, as Mayavadi philosophers think. So Prabhupada is now speaking, first he spoke about the negative aspect of speech. Now he's speaking the neutral aspect of speech. So don't speak, just maintain silence. This he calls as the external process of Mauna. Why he calls it as external process of Mauna? Why does he call it? What is the reason? Yes, Mataji, to give the mic. Ah, because in the mind still the talk is going on, the mind's talks are going on, that you cannot stop. So, recently, few years back, a lady from America came to the Himalayas and 6 months she was under the ice doing austerity without any food. And after her austerities were over, some reporters came and took her interview. So they asked a very interesting question. When you were below the ice, what were your thoughts? So she confided, being sincere, she said that, back there in my hometown, I'm very much attached to drinking coffee. I go to the coffee day. So in that meditation, when I'm sitting, I am wondering, when will I go and have coffee? So, although by this external process of mauna, the unlimited samskars which are there, garbage in the chitta, they are unlimited. You can, actually remove them because by silence you can come to the point of transcendence. This is the process of vipassana in the Buddhist tradition. You know, by the vipassana, they just silence and become an observer and witness and allow all these to pass by the thoughts. But the garbage is unlimited, millions of lifetimes. And this lady, for 6 months of austerity, so she could not remove the garbage of this life that to attach to drinking coffee. So that's why it is not self-imposed silence. Silence may appear helpful for some time, but ultimately it proves a failure. It is helpful for some time. At least they don't do nonsense activities for some time. By contrast, the controlled speech advocated by Sri Rupa Goswami is the positive process of Krishna Katha, engaging the speaking process and glorifying the Supreme Lord. Really? So you see, Rupa Goswami in his Updeshamrit is not speaking of engaging the service senses in the service of Krishna. He is just speaking about Vacho, Vegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam. But Prabhupada in his purport is connecting Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu and Updeshamrit. Because what is the definition of bhakti? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. So how we engage the speech in Krishna's service is by speaking Krishna Katha. So in summary, Rupa Goswami is actually hinting in the verse. And Prabhupada is understanding the intention of Rupa Goswami and is giving us the solution how we should engage the speech in Krishna's service. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there is an elaborate discussion of angas of bhakti. So there is Nam Kirtana, Guna Kirtana, Leela Kirtana, Rupa Kirtana, all these types of kirtan. And for everything, Rupa Goswami gives the references from the Shastra. So one should glorify the name of the Lord, holy name. One should glorify the qualities of the Lord, the pastimes of the Lord. So this is Harer Gunanu Kirtanam. Okay. So that is how the process is explaining here. Now, Prabhupada is saying here, the tongue can thus glorify the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. The preacher of Krishna Gatha is always beyond the clutches of death. So this is one good reason we should become a preacher. So that's how Prabhupada ends. This is the significance of control of the urge of speech. Speak. Okay. Now, with respect to Vachu Vegam, 2 points I want to mention here, apart from this commentary. One is the urge to speak, you should have control over what you speak. And you should have control on what you read. Because your reading is also speaking. Please remember. And you should watch on what you browse. This is in the modern context. Browsing on the net. Because that is also vacho. Are you getting this? Uncontrolled speech it is, actually. It is interesting because initially, in the year 2002 and 3, I was working in Bombay and I used to always commute with the local train and a lot of noise because everyone is speaking in the train. So a lot of noise is to be there. And after maybe 15, 16 years or maybe 18 years, I again visited Bombay. This was few years back, 6 years back or 7 years back. And I went into the local to go from Chowpatty to Mira Road. And I saw everyone in the train absolutely pin drop silence. And I was surprised, how is this possible? But that silence is more dangerous than their speaking. because everyone is hooked to their mobile or their tab. Although they are not speaking, but they are browsing all these. And this, they are not speaking it out, but actually it is more detrimental and dangerous because we don't know what they are browsing. Maybe how to commit suicide or how to do this, how to rob a bank. So much better is if they are what? Speaking, because at least the other persons will know by the speech, what this person's intention is. If they are silent, we don't know what they are up to. Which is more dangerous, lust or greed? Greed. Because lust is detectable. Greed is very subtle. So that's why the silence, I could understand they are deeper in and they are having more subtle psychological problems. So this is about speech. Secondly, when you speak stimulates ideas in the mind, and speech leads to activity. Speech leads to activity. I'll just give an example. The speech is a sound. Everything begins from sound. The whole creation begins from sound. And the sound has an effect on the tactile sense of the body because it moves the prana. I'll give an example. Please try to understand this. Like if you are singing Kirtan, the sound enters the heart and it agitates the tactile sense. And you feel like what? What do you feel? Dancing. This is what sound does. So similarly, if you hear something which is a rock music or a jazz music, which is a rajasic music, it can agitate your rajas and tamas. And if you hear something which is sattvic, then it can keep you in the mode of goodness. And if you are hearing something transcendental, it will slowly take you from the lower modes and you'll be able to come to the mode of goodness and then come to the transcendental platform. Recently, I had an experience. We brahmacharis were traveling in a car to Goa because we had our Bhakti Vaibhav there. And I was playing a particular Krishna's flute song, which is in a particular raga. And the devotee was driving, he is my good friend. And I know that he drives very fast. So I purposely put this, you know, tune. He did not know, and I was hearing and I was studying. And then we reached Goa and he said, I don't know why I was driving slow. Because what happens is generally when you get the steering in your hand, the mode of passion becomes very strong and you want to drive fast. But because of that raga, somehow he was in the mode of goodness and he was driving at a average speed. He did not cross 80. And he did not know why it was happening to him. Then I revealed to him, no, this is because of the tune, Krishna's flute song. So this is the effect of speech which happens. And just imagine whatever speech is being vibrated, that vibration enters the ether and spreads in the ether. And I was giving the example of Hitler. His just talks carried certain vibrations, and all the army of Germany had the courage to declare a world war. And what a devastation it caused. Now we all know that Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was not a what? Ghoshtanandi. He was a Bhajnanandi. But that's wrong. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, just by sitting in one place and chanting, his Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting was purifying the ether in the atmosphere and it was spreading all over in the universe. And it was attracting souls to the Hare Krishna movement. And with the combination of the Bhajananandi and the Ghoshtanandi Bhakti Siddhanta Sarvi Thakur, they were doing the preaching. These are two aspects about speech which are important to touch. Okay. Now let's come to the next paragraph. That is Manasavegam. Yes, you have questions on this? Pardon?
But did you describe this?
I have not started discussing this. We just finished Vachavegam. Now this is Manasavegam now. Okay. Let's discuss Manasavegam next. Okay. So Prabhupada keeps it very simple, Manasavegam. And we'll go to Anuvritti Tika, where in more detail it is discussed in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary. So Prabhupada says, he quotes Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai Andhakara. Jahar Krishna Tahir Tahar Nahi Maya Adhikar. Krishna is like the sun. Wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. So if one is absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, then Maya cannot touch it. So Maya is compared to darkness, Krishna is compared to sun. And Maya, again, there are two divisions. The negative aspect is material thoughts. And there is a class of philosophers, which I refer to, Buddhists. They want to what? Become thoughtless. Right? And they give these examples, just like you empty a jar which is filled with water. We empty the mind by becoming thoughtless. But the idea or the thought to become thoughtless is also a thought. Are you getting this point? So that's why this is also uncontrolled mind. Both these are uncontrolled minds. And controlled mind means always to think about Krishna. And what that is, Prabhupada will come to that. We will touch upon it. Okay, the restlessness or the fickleness of the mind, manovegam, is controlled when one can fix his mind at the lotus feet of Krishna. Savai mana Krishna padaravinda. Now, what does it mean to fix the mind on Krishna? Can you take the mind and then place it on Krishna's lotus feet, just like you take a flower and offer it at the lotus feet of the acharyas? What it really means to make, Savai Mana Krishna Padaravinda. So Savai Mana Krishna Padaravinda means that we absorb our thoughts in understanding Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's nature, Krishna Tattva, meditating on Krishna Tattva. That means our mind is fixed on Krishna's lotus feet. Okay? Chaitanya Charitamrit, Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Haya Andakar, Yahan Krishna, Tahan Nahi Mayara Adhikar. Krishna is just like the sun and Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibility of the minds being agitated by Maya's influence. The yogic process of negating all material thoughts will not help. So neutral aspect, proper speaking. To create a vacuum in the mind is unusual. So it will not work. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always thinks of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, one's mind will naturally be controlled. So Prabhupada is giving the positive process of controlling the mind. What is the positive process? One should always think of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best. One's mind will be naturally controlled. Now, among these two, please think very carefully. Okay? Which one is in the mode of goodness and which is in the mode of passion? Think about it and then raise your hands. You must have never thought also that there can be something like this in one statement of Prabhupada. Okay, one hand is raised. Second, okay. Do you want to meditate to understand the statement? We'll put you in some meditation. Okay? So sit straight. Let us see. Okay? And keep your hands very comfortably on the elbow. This is what is this? The thighs here. Okay? And take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Sit straight. I know this is afternoon time. Don't close your eyes. I did not say to close your eyes. Okay? Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. As you breathe, na, as you inhale, raise yourself up. Now chant what I just repeat, but follow the same tune. And only when I end, you begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You need not close your eyes as I told. So how is your experience? You must have not experienced this even while chanting Hare Krishna. Because this is address of Vyasdev to the absolute truth, which should take you to transcendence, Shuddha Sattva. But at least we should come to Sattva so that we can understand this statement. Now, which among these two words is in the mode of goodness and in the mode of passion? Who will answer? Yes, Mataji, take the mic. Yes.
Think
Is what?
all of goodness.
And Sir Best Krishna? Sir Krishna Best?
Passion.
Passion.
We have two options.
That's why. But why do you say it is passion? Tell me.
Like going to the example of Gujarati, we're serving, but we have in the Gujarati department, they have to serve very quickly in a mode of passion.
So, planning to serve Krishna, when you're planning to serve Krishna, that planning what you're doing, like you're going for a morning Nagar Sankirtan, you have to plan who will play the mridanga, who will play the kartal, who will, do all this, right? Where we are going to go, the route has to be planned. All this activity we are doing as Krishna service, but still it is in the mode of passion because there is activity. But to sit and chant Hare Krishna is in the mode of goodness. Are you getting this point? So Srila Prabhupada told one of his disciples, Prabhupada, I'm planning this, this and do all this to do in Krishna service. That's good, Prabhupada said, but it's better to sit and chant Hare Krishna, he said. Then he could not figure out that this is also Krishna service, but there is difference. Okay? So we have to do both. If I tell you now, 8 hours we'll sit and chant Hare Krishna. How many of us can do that? You can't, because the mind is, body wants to move here and there. Mind is wandering all over the universe. So it's not easy. But activity in Krishna service, engagement, yes, can be done. So both have to be done. So that is the point Prabhupada is making. Okay, this is Manasa Vekam. Now, any questions you have about Manasa Vekam? Any questions and clarifications?
Vacuum was emptiness.
Pardon?
Vacuum was emptiness.
Trying to empty the mind of all thoughts. How many thoughts in a day flow in our mind? How many? Anyone knows? 12 billion. Where did you get this figure from? 70,000 thoughts a day. But one of the scientists, in the BI was telling it is 70,000 thoughts an hour. So many thoughts are flowing, one after another. So the mind is like a unlimited library. When you go to a huge library, so many books are there, right? So you just keep on browsing them. But based on your, interest, you will pick up, right? So similarly, the intelligence means to pick up the right thoughts. But generally, what happens? The corrupt intelligence picks up the wrong thoughts and then starts processing. Dhyayato vishayan bhupsa. So intelligence means to allow those thoughts, like just you are browsing through the library, and only pick up the right thoughts and then journal them. That's how we need to work in processing the thoughts. There are unlimited thoughts flowing. Okay? This one. Question you have? Yes, take the mic.
The word used is tolerate, but somewhere you're still using control. And when I think of the word control, it's almost like suppress, like you're doing something actively, but tolerate to me sounds like just letting the urges go. Is there a difference, or is there a specific meaning according to something word of tolerate and control should be taken similar?
Okay, very good question. It's a very good question. So when Prabhupada is speaking about these 6 urges and pacification through bhakti, he is speaking about how these urges are there. These urges are there like force. Now, what we do is, we, instead of controlling it, these urges, we what? Tendency which is there, we engage in Krishna service by which we control them. Okay? I will explain again to make it more clear and explain it with one Bhagavad Gita verse, which will make it more clear to you. In the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, verse 61, Krishna says, Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matpara vasheyasya indriyani tasya pragya pratishtita. Okay. Tani means all those senses. Sarvani means all. Sanyamya. Sanyamya means one should control. And then engage. Engage, in relation to me. And Vashehi. Vashehi means such controlled engagement of the senses. One is fixed in Sthita Pragya stage. Okay. Now this example, I'll make it more clear. When you're trying to engage the horses, you're in the chariot, right? When you're trying to engage the horses are going in different direction because of the attraction to different objects, right? So the first thing is what you have to do? Sanyam. You have to regulate them. You have to control them. Because without controlling them, you cannot engage them for what you want to do them, right? So there is both these aspects going on. Now, although we engage our senses in Krishna service, we know that the senses, what? They go haywire, right? They go astray, right? No? And then what we have to bring it mind and try to engage it. So when the senses become fully controlled, and that fully controlled senses engagement is actually a different level of practice of devotional service. Are you getting this point? Is it clear? Is it clear or no?
So, when you say tolerate, for example, the example you give of
Take the mic.
the example you give of your friend feeling the smell of sunshine.
Yeah.
So if we say engaging them would have been to go cook and offer to Lord Krishna then eat.
Okay, we'll come to that. Don't worry. It is going to come.
Okay.
Basically, the example is given in a particular context, and you have to understand the context. Examples are always contextual based. When such a wave comes, now we are going for a meeting. That is the agenda, but this Vega diverts our consciousness. At such time when the Vega comes, we need to what? Control them. That is what the verse is speaking about. Okay. Now regarding, cooking and offering to Krishna, it will come up now. When Prabhupada will speak about the tongue control, there we'll speak, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Sarkar's commentary will also, it will come up. Okay. But we are able to understand this, tolerate. And in some situations, we need to what? Actually control them. And in some situations, we need to engage them in Krishna service. So that discrimination is required by the person. In what situation, what is to be done. Okay. Is it clear? Okay, now we'll come to the Vacho Vegam is over, Manasa Vegam is over. Now, Krodha Vegam. Controlling of anger. Now, Prabhupada gives three examples. Prabhupada, first of all, says that anger cannot be what? Stop. Anger can be controlled. We cannot stop anger altogether, but if we simply become angry at those who blaspheme the Lord as devotees, then we can control our anger in Krishna consciousness. So we become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord or the devotees of the Lord. That is how we utilize the anger. And Prabhupada gives the example of Jagai and Madai. Mahaprabhu became angry. But Mahaprabhu himself spoke the words what? Trunadapi Sunite. Then why did Mahaprabhu become angry? So the point what Prabhupada is trying to make is that when Krishna or his devotees are blaspheming, a genuine devotee, please remember, Prabhupada says a genuine devotee becomes angry. But generally in the conditioned state, when we are criticized or we are blasphemed, what we should do that time? We should be Trunadapi Sunite. But we become angry. Others, becoming angry and chastising him is right on their part. Are you getting? But for ourselves, we should be none. Okay, are you getting this point? The second utilization of anger, Prabhupada gives example. Anger can be utilized in Krishna's service. Prabhupada gives example of Hanuman. And third, he gives example of Arjuna. Okay, now we'll go through this purport. And then I will ask you an interesting question and let us see what your thoughts are about anger. We'll go through this. Similarly, anger can be controlled. We cannot stop anger altogether, but if we simply become angry with those blaspheming the Lord or the devotees of the Lord, we control our anger in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada gives example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry with his kind brothers Jagai and Madai, who blasphemed and struck Nityananda Prabhu. In his Shikshashtakam, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Dharnadapi Samichena Tarorapi Sahishna. One should be humbler than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. One may then ask, why did Lord exhibit his anger? The point is that one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotees blasphemed, Prabhupada says, a genuine devotee. Actually, if Krishna or Krishna's devotees blasphemed, and if you don't, leave that place or you don't immediately take charge of that situation and counteract it, that means you're not a genuine devotee. And you just hear and tolerate that. That is not right on our part. We have to act like fire at that time. But generally, we act as fire when we are insulted or criticized. That is our condition state. So that's why Prabhupada said a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offenders. Krodha, anger cannot be stopped, but it can be applied rightly. This, based on this, I'm going to ask a question. I remember I just joined and we were in a yatra to Jagannath Puri and I was serving our sannyasi, Dr. Samrat Maharaj. I had just joined, not even 10 days. And we were on the train journey and I was serving him and I was reading Bhagavad Gita. And some people in the bogie got in. They were not having a ticket in that berth. But in between stations they get in. Na? And they were talking and then they were making some fun, something they were doing. Suddenly Maharaj got very angry at them and severely reprimanded them. I was surprised. You know. So that's why a genuine devotee will become angry when Krishna or his devotees are attacked. So that is what. And Prabhupada says about anger cannot be stopped, but it can be applied rightly. Now, based on this, he gives two examples. It was in anger that Hanuman set fire to Lanka, but he is worshipped as the greatest devotee of Lord Ram. This means that he utilized his anger in the right way. Arjuna serves another example. He is not willing to fight, but Krishna incited his anger. You must fight. To fight without anger is not possible. Anger is controlled, however, when utilized in the service of the Lord. Now, please hear my question and carefully think if you want to write down. Can we utilize anger in the service of the Lord? As Prabhupada has given two examples here. One is Hanuman and another is Arjuna. What are your thoughts? About this? Can anger be utilized in the service of the Lord? As Prabhupada is giving examples of Hanuman and Arjuna. Yes, who would like to share? What do you feel after reading this purport? Can you use anger in the service of the Lord? One hand has been raised. What happened to others? You don't want to utilize Krishna service anger. What about others? Prabhus? Can anger be utilized? Just reading the purport, what do you feel? How many of you raise your hands? I would like to see 1, 2, 3, 4. What about their backside? What's your name, Prabhu? No, here. Yes. Ananta? Can you speak a little louder?
Ananta Padmanabha.
Ananta Padmanabha. Where are you from? Kerala, I could understand from your. Okay, what do you feel? Can you utilize anger in the service of the Lord? Take the mic based on reading Prabhupada's purport here. Huh? Yeah. You can use. Yes? Okay. Mataji, what are your thoughts? Take the mic.
Krishna. Yes, of course we can. And one of the good example we can see of the Dhruv Maharaj. He was very angry because his mother gave and he went like whatever he wanted from the Supreme Lord.
So,
So
whom you are
Dhruv Maharaj, yes.
Maharaj. Okay.
Yes, that example. So anger in any way, and we are approaching to Krishna by that way. So of course it will be, it can be utilized in the same service of Krishna.
Okay. Mataji, what's your thoughts on this? You had raised your hand.
I personally have no issues with anger. A lot of my inspirations come from anger, actually. So I think that we can definitely utilize anger in service of the Lord. And I also think that when we are around devotees that are trying to teach us, when there is care in combination with anger, then I personally have experienced that I grow the most with that combination. But anger without care, I find that it's more, let's say, it's more on the ego.
Somebody else had raised their hand. Who else had raised their hand about anger? Yes, Mataji. What are your thoughts? Can anger be utilized in the service of the Lord?
Said, and you also said, if any,
I did not say.
in any devotee is blaspheming,
Uh,
then
uh,
um, we, if we can speak, we have to counteract. And if we can, if we can't speak, we have to leave that place. And it is also said that if you can't even leave that place, you have to kill yourself, but we won't listen. And it is also naturally when a devotee is blaspheming because devotees are servants of Lord.
no, no, we are speaking about the first example is in a different context. When Krishna or his devotees are blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry. That was.
And justice.
No, we'll just go to that example. There are different case studies. We'll just go to that one example. But here, Prabhupada gives two examples of utilization of anger in the service of the Lord, that is Hanuman and Arjuna. So, my question is pertaining to those two examples whether, as Hanuman and Arjuna, we can engage anger in the service of the Lord. That was my question.
To shoot any records, it is anger. So I've heard many sannyasis protected devotees.
Okay. No, anger using in the service of the Lord. Okay, there are some differences. Okay, I understand it's not an easy subject. Now, let me clarify. The examples given by Prabhupada are of two exalted devotees. Who are they? Hanuman and Arjuna. Hanuman is the eternal associate of Lord Ram, and Arjuna is an eternal associate of who? Krishna. Whenever Krishna decides, Arjuna decides. First thing you have to understand. Secondly, in the first canto, 7th chapter, when Ashwatthama is arrested by Arjuna, you know, Arjuna's eyes are described as Tamra Parda, Tamra Aksha. Tamra Aksha means copper eyes because his eyes were red out of anger. Whereas Krishna's eyes are described as Kamala Aksha, lotus eyed. And Prabhupada in the purport explains that this is the difference between the Lord and even the liberated devotee. Now, thirdly, the example of Dhruva Maharaj. And I wanted to quote Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, at the age of 5, because Kshatriya blood was there, He wanted to attain a kingdom greater than his great grandfather, that is Lord Brahma. And he met Narada. And Narada says, you're just boy, go back. Don't become for such a small thing, don't take it to heart. If you want, don't come in my way. But if you have something which I can achieve, you tell me. Then Narada gave him the mantra. And he practiced bhakti for 6 months and attained the darshan of the Lord. And he was liberated. Dhruva Maharaj was liberated. He became a pure devotee. Then came back to the kingdom and he was ruling the kingdom. And that time his brother Uttama was killed by a yaksha. And Dhruva became angry. And he became so angry that he started devastating the entire yaksha race. And ultimately Manu had to come and give him instructions. So Prabhupada in those purports explains that even a liberated soul can become angry. That is why even in the liberated state, one should control anger. Dhruva was becoming angry on being killed by the yaksha. His brother was genuine. So he should have killed that yaksha. But what he did, he was annihilating the entire yaksha race. So anger, when you want to utilize the service of Lord, but anger can go such berserk that it multiplies into manifold. And Dhruva was destroying the entire yaksha race. And that's why Manu had to come and stop him. So even Hanuman used anger to burn Lanka, right? That's how he utilized anger in the Lord's service. But later in the Ramayana, Hanuman laments, why did I do this? Why I. So the lesson what we should learn is that anger should be always kept under control. And what to speak about conditioned souls, even liberated souls are very careful to use anger in Krishna's sense. Because anger is such a powerful energy. Just like if you run for 6 kilometers, the amount of energy what is generated, that much energy is generated when you become angry. That is the amount of energy it creates. And another thing is, when you want to utilize anger in Krishna service, you should be able to withdraw at your own will. But when you become angry, then that consciousness affects you. Even for Arjuna, he had to become angry while arresting Ashwatthama, but it affected him. His eyes became red, whereas Krishna's eyes were like lotus. So this is the lesson we have to learn, that anger should always be kept under control. Now there is a famous pastime of Srila Prabhupada. Hariswari Prabhu tells us. Prabhupada had gone somewhere in the north for a Gita Sammelan where there were a lot of speakers who were supposed to talk. It was a Sammelan of Gita. And 4 days this event was happening, and Prabhupada was about to speak on the 4th day. And Prabhupada and Hariswari and only few of them entered the Sabha assembly. And the organizer said that, the speaker list time has got delayed and your speech will come after some time. If you want, you can take rest in the room. So Prabhupada said, I'll go to the room. And interestingly, that room was exactly opposite to the Sabha assembly, where all these swamis and scholars were giving talks on the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada knew all these different ideas were all Mayavadi. And Prabhupada knew what they were speaking for the last 4 days. And Prabhupada was now walking back and forth in the room. And Prabhupada was becoming angry. And Hari Sauri could see that. And Hari Sauri became very, very tense. What is going to happen now? And Prabhupada was, hammering, he was speaking sometimes. He was telling Hari Sauri these ideas and he was becoming angry. And his anger was going up high, high, high. And then suddenly the time came when Prabhupada had to go to the stage. And Prabhupada, in that anger, he went to the stage and Hari Sauri said, now what to do? I do what is going to happen on the stage? He never knew anything. And Prabhupada took the mic and instead of addressing the audience, he stressed, went to this all Swamis who were sitting and started hammering them. He just started attacking them, Prabhupada. And all these Swamis, they just were taken aback and they, just like, warrior takes his weapon, they also, cleansed their fist and they started attacking Prabhupada, counter arguments. Prabhupada did not address the crowd at all. He just started hammering these Swamis because they were presenting all Mayavad philosophy, right? And it went on for a few minutes, and Hariswami is wondering what to do, what is happening. And then suddenly, seeing this, now the crowd also became angry and they started shouting and yelling at Prabhupada. They started criticizing Prabhupada because the way Prabhupada was in fury, attacking them. And then suddenly, one Bengali lady, 35-year-old, got up and she said, "You are just speaking Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy." Prabhupada said, "Where did I take the name Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Shut up and sit down." Suddenly she became speechless and she just collapsed. Then after a few minutes, suddenly Prabhupada changed the whole tune and he became lighthearted and started joking. And all of them, completely pacified crowd. And then again he began. And again he started attacking the Swamis. And he finished his talk and just left the place. The Prabhupada could do that. He could just utilize the anger for a moment, withdraw it, and then leave. There's a famous pastime spoken by Giriraj Maharaj. Prabhupada was in Jew temple and the Jew story, they had messed up with the dealing with the Nair and Prabhupada was angry like anything, you know. And when they cancelled the agreement and Prabhupada intuitively came to know he was in Ahmedabad or somewhere, I think, and he came and he knew he was so angry, so furious that nobody wanted to face Prabhupada. Even the servants ran away. And Prabhupada suddenly went in his room and inside in the armchair, he's just, laughing as though nothing had happened. Suddenly his mood changed. So the point is that if you think anger can be utilized in Krishna service, see if your consciousness is going to get affected by anger. And you all know, we all experience when we become angry, our consciousness gets affected. And that cannot go even for sometimes years together. If somebody has spoken harsh words to us and it has hurt our heart, we cannot forgive that person for years together. Yes or no? Yes or no? So that's why, at all times, anger should be what? Always controlled. Only great liberated souls, I'm speaking, great liberated souls can utilize anger and Krishna. And even in these rare cases, we saw. And the pastime from Dhruva Maharaj is a lesson Prabhupada is telling in the purpose that even liberated souls should not come under the sway of anger. That's what the lesson Prabhupada says. Okay. But having said that, genuinely, some service, like somebody is criticizing the devotees, immediately, we have to stop him. In that way, we can, it should not affect our consciousness. At the same time, we should protect ourselves and protect that devotee also. Like that, we should be very careful. Okay. Is it okay? Is it clear about this? Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. What's your name?
Kamal Shantas.
Kapil Sharma.
You can also use it like whenever we get anger, like any Mayavadi philosophy or any atheist. respect Lord or its creatures, we get angry, like we are criticizing our Lord and our scriptures, but we can be like quite humble and tease them by respecting scriptures and
You can tease them.
like by giving a message, like teaching scriptures, like philosophy of human one. If we get angry by the if someone is blessed in our Lord, like your Krishna is doing this sometimes to you. Like we
Yes.
get angry. So like we can control it by learning Shastras, so we can utilize the nectar so that
Yes, but there are now you have to understand a Madhyam Adhikari is he has a discrimination. Those who are Dveshi, he can neglect them, he can be neutral to them, or he can even show compassion to them. Now, when to be neutral is, it is like a test for me. I have to tolerate the situation. But if they are hardcore, criticizers, and as you mentioned like that, then you should know that you should better leave the place because there's no point preaching them, right? So we have to judge the situation. Sometimes there are hardcore Mayavadis. There's no point in preaching them. Sometimes there are only subtle shades of Mayavads where they can be converted. So we have to judge the situation and then accordingly we'll have to do that. Okay, fine. So this is about anger. I hope we have understood whether we can utilize anger in the service of the Lord. So these cases are very extraordinary. Okay. Now, urge of the tongue and belly, controlling the tongue and belly proper takes together only by taking Krishna Prasad. So that is the remedy. Let's read this now. Okay. As for the urges of the tongue, we all have an experience that the tongue wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasadam. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasadam. That is the way to control the urge of the tongue. So I spoke that the entire Uddeshamrit will be studying from that one statement. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So Prabhupada is saying the devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasadam. We understood the statement? Huh? No. Why? Very simple, no? What is the problem? Krishna has to give prasadam to you, then only you'll eat. Just like he did for whom? Madhavapuri. There was one problem in one temple. The temple president was telling us that in the Rajbhog offering, which is to go to the deities, when it is to come out, the backup team is to clean the utensils and all the prasad is to be transferred. But somehow the kheer, the sweet item is to go missing. So the devotee, backup devotee is telling, I don't know, I at least keep it in the transferred vessels, but I don't know how it goes missing. So ultimately, the many times the complaint went to the temple president. So temple president once had to go from backside and see, and he found brahmachari used to what? Take the kheer prasad. Then he said, why are you doing this? He said, this is prasad. But yes, this is also prasad, but other things also prasad. Why are you discriminating only sweet? So Prabhupada's statement is so profound that a devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasad. That means when you are called for prasad, you know the standard in the Gurukul was what? If the spiritual master calls you to take prasad, then only you can come and take. Otherwise, you have to fast. How difficult it is, this standard to follow. So only when Krishna gives you prasad, then we have honor. So this is advancement in Krishna consciousness. Now in the Bombay city, there was one devotee who was following this principle. He would whole day do book distribution, and only when a devotee calls to come and take prasad, or somebody invites him, then only he'll take prasad. Otherwise, he will not take, he will fast. It's very difficult to do this. Don't try it out also, ever think about it also. So he was sharing the experience that one day, till afternoon, no sign. Till evening, no sign. And then suddenly in the evening from the 10th floor, some Mataji is calling, Prabhu, please come, please come. He's wondering where is the sound coming from. And then ultimately he saw that and then he came and then they offered him the DT Mahaprasad. Now, how did that Mataji come to know that this devotee is not had prasad? Tesham satati uttana vajatam pritipurvam dadami. The Paramatma understands that. So this should be the attitude of a devotee. So there is one devotee here in Krishna Balaram. This is my observation. I have seen him many years. He's not part of our temple, not part of our congregation. You might feel like that. So he's in a small kutir just outside here, backside. He's a Brajbasi. And the Pujari on Radhashtami day, he took the entire Mahaprasad and made a plate and went and gave to this devotee. He got the inspiration from the Lord with it, that you should go and feed my devotee. So this is what Prabhupada is trying to say here. Okay? Is it clear? One should take prasadam at scheduled times. Now this is a level which we should follow. That is morning after the prasadam is offered to the Lord, bhoga is offered to the Lord, that's time for breakfast. That is scheduled time. Then madhyana, then evening. And should not eat in restaurants or sweet meat shops simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasadam, the urges of the belly and tongue can be controlled. Now, the urges of the genitals. Any questions you have, Prashad? I will not take up now. When I take the Anuvritti commentary, that time I will take up. Urges of genital, controlling the genital, begetting Krishna conscious children. In a similar manner, the urges of the genitals, the sex impulse, can be controlled when not used unnecessarily. The genitals should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child, otherwise, they should not be used. The Krishna conscious movement encourages marriage not for satisfaction of the genitals, but for begetting of Krishna conscious children. As soon as children are a little grown up, they are sent to our Gurukul school where they are trained to become fully Krishna conscious. Many such Krishna conscious children are required, and one who is capable of bringing forth Krishna conscious offspring is allowed to utilize his genitals. One, now, Prabhupada concludes in paragraph 8. When one is fully practiced in the methods of Krishna conscious control, he can become qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master. That means you have only controlled, Krodha Vegam or Jiva Vegam and Udara Vegam, but not Vacho Vegam and Manasa Vegam. You are not fully practiced completely. All the 6 Vegas, when one is fully practiced, then you are actually a Madhyamadikari Guru. Please understand, you're a Madhyamadhikari. That's what Prabhupada is trying to say here. Okay, so any questions you have up till now? We have finished this second section. Now we'll go to the Anuvritti commentary. Any questions, any clarifications you have? I will more take it up when I discuss about the Jiva and the Udara Vegam and the Upasa Vegam in the Anuvritti commentary, because Prabhupada gives the elaborate explanation. But still, if you have any questions on this. Yes, Mataji.
It's just from observation, seeing this, it's very impactful. To be honest.
What is impractical?
Uh,
Eating only prasadam. Mhm.
Life started. Doesn't mean that
Okay.
there's no Paramatma or like
There's no Paramatma in the rest. Interesting.
you know. I mean is that even if there's Paramatma, people are so covered that you just back up the streets and it won't happen.
Yes, yes, that's, I understand that culture is there. Okay, right,
And then the second point about controlling the dance and having all of the body. I also don't see how that's going to be, how that is even maintained, even in our Krishna conscious community, it's just that standard.
Okay.
It's just something so direct and something that is set. But to be honest, if I'm completely honest, I don't see anyone practicing that, to be honest.
I'm fully aware about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fully aware about it. We will touch upon it in the Anuvritti commentary more in detail. And I don't have any Western outreach experience, but I have heard from Western devotees. There is a friend of mine who was, before coming to Krishna consciousness in which country he told me? It is Malaysia. And he was telling that every day his food was beef curry and rice. That's what he used to eat. And somehow he came in touch with one ISKCON devotee, and he had one problem of sleep. And he asked him what to do. He said, "You chant this mantra and you'll go to sleep." What is this to do with sleep? He just could not understand. He just started chanting. And from night 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, where he used to go to sleep, it came to 12 o'clock, then it came to 11 o'clock, then it came to 10 o'clock. And you're surprised, how is this? Because the mantra calms you down, na? So you can sleep. To sleep, the mind has to be calm. And then he was narrating to me that now still he was taking the restaurant food, but because he was chanting, somehow the Lord in the heart, no, inspired. So he used to take the meat away and only eat the rice and curry. And after a few days, he felt that's also not right. So then he started cooking at his own home, rice and curd. And his parents were surprised. What is he doing inside? And he was offering that. And then he took up seriously to Krishna consciousness. So what we speak in India, it is more practical in the outside world to do this if one is serious about it. That's my point, I would like to say. Now regarding the urges of the genitals, I will come to when we discuss the Anuvritti Tika. Okay. Any other thoughts you have? On this up till now? Okay, we'll go to the Anuvritti Tika. We'll just touch upon the Anuvritti Tika and tomorrow we'll continue this discussion. We spend mostly our time on the first and the second and the third verse. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, will not take much time to discuss. But first three verses and the fourth verse, okay, not much time. Fifth verse, there is a little philosophical discussion, but other verses not really much. Okay. Yes. Now, in the Anuvritti explanation, we saw there is only one Vega, the Vega of the mind, which is analyzed as 6. Now, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he analyzes these Vegas into 3 divisions. Now, this is another way of classifying things. Now, classification is done for analysis and for practical application. So, he puts Vacho Vegam in Vacho Vegam only. But in the Manasa Vegam, urge of the mind, he puts the urge of the mind and the urge of the anger, because anger manifests in the mind. Okay? So that's how he takes care of the urge of the mind. And Udara, Upastha, and Jiva, he puts in the urge of the body. Okay? Because Jiva is here, Udara is here, and Upastha. All three are in one line. So that's how he analyzes the divides into three. And the urge of the mind is included, the urge of the mind and the urge of anger. Because it is Manasa, Krodha, Vegam. Okay? In the verse, it is not Manasa, Vegam and Krodha, Vegam. If you observe, right? Okay? And then Jiva, Udara, and Pastitis. Okay? Now, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur wrote a commentary on Updeshamrit, which is quite deep and profound. And I explained that one should read Prabhupada's Updeshamrit. How many times? Huh? Once in a year. How many years? Who answered that? Where? Sometimes, if you speak some sound, I feel that it's coming from the sky out there. You'll have to, raise your hand. It's very difficult. Where is the sound vibration coming from? So, okay. So please be humble enough to raise your hands so that I can understand. So you should read at least for 10 to 15 minutes. And then to go deeper into Updeshamrit, Prabhupada's Updeshamrit, then you can, with the blessings of your spiritual master, study the Acharya's commentaries also. So the first Acharya who wrote the commentary on Updeshamrit is Radha Raman Goswami, I guess. Radha Raman Goswami. Updesha Prakashika, it is called. It is illumination on the Updeshamrit. Studying that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was ecstatic and blissful. So he, based on this commentary, he wrote his own commentary, which is called as the Piyusha Varshini Vritti. Piyusha means nectar. Varshini means shower. A shower of nectar. Vritti means commentary. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur ordered his son, based on my commentary, you write a sub-commentary. Okay? This is what was the order of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to his son, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that is why, named his commentary as what? Anuvritti. Anuvritti means following the vritti of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Piyusha Varshini Vritti. Anuvritti it is. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary is very deep and very philosophical. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is much, you can say, more rasik. It is, and more insights are also given. Interestingly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, on the six, faults, Atyahara Prayasascha, and the six good qualities, Utsaha Nishchaya, for each of them he wrote an article. That means 6 articles on the 6 faults and 6 articles on the 6 qualities. And that is now in the form of a book called as Bhakti-Aloka. Because these 6 faults can destroy your devotion. And the 6 qualities can bestow pure devotion. You can attain perfection in devotion. So that's why they're very important. So, in the Anuvritti explanation, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, our material identification creates 3 kinds of urges. The urge to speak, the urges are the demands of the mind and the demands of the body. It's only because of our material identification. When a living entity falls victim to any of these 3 types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. Very heavy statement, no? If you become victim to these urges, your life becomes inauspicious. When one practices resisting these demands or urges, one who practices resisting these demands or urges is called a tapasvi. One who practices austerity. That means one who is able to restrain these urges is a tapasvi. So there is a second definition of tapasvi which is given. Prabhupada had given one also. What is that definition? One leads a regulated life, hygienic life, then he can be in knowledge. And that kind of practice is called as tapasya Prabhupada says. So here Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur says, one who doesn't get victimized by the urges of the speech, urges of the what? Mind and the urges of the body is practicing tapasya. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, these urges are what? Because of the influence of Vairanga Shakti on the Jiva. Okay. So, urge to speak, we are going to take it up now. Time is up. So, we'll stop here because today you had a long day. Tomorrow we will complete the Navratika and start the second verse. And any other questions or any other doubts or comments you have about this? This Anuvritti Tika is very, very interesting. Okay, so tomorrow morning we'll take it up. Any questions, any clarifications you have? Yes, Mataji.
Prabhupada speaking on the Anubhuti.
Prabhupada went through the Anuvritti commentary and Prabhupada paraphrases what Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is saying in his Anuvritti commentary. Anuvritti commentary is quite detailed. He is not replica taking the whole commentary and giving it to us. Only in some of the verses of Updeshamrit, in many of the verses, he refers to the Anuvritti commentary. First verse, second verse, third verse. Remaining verses, he just doesn't refer many to the Anuvritti commentaries. Some places he refers. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary, that is the Piyusha Vashini Tika, he refers only in the 9th and the 10th and the 11th verse. But Prabhupada's own commentary is very, very practical and it is meant for contemporary audience this time. So that is why it is very relevant that we study Prabhupada's commentary in depth and in detail. Okay? Is it fine? Okay. Yes, Mataji. Vritti means a commentary. Okay. Vritti means commentary, which is the commentary title given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is called as Piyusha Varshini Vritti. And Anuvritti is following the Vritti of Anu means to follow. You get the point? Anu means to follow. So following Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is writing commentary based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary. So that is why he titled as that what? Anuvritti. In fact, when he was commenting on the 8th verse of Updeshamrit, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur left the world. And Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur stopped commenting. He just stopped all his activities. He was feeling so much separation from his spiritual master. And only later on, after some time, he continued writing the commentary. But he had stopped it for a long time. Okay. So we'll stop here. Granth Raj Shri Deshamrit ki Jai. Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.